Language learners. Now, I'm so excited. Today is the video about the study. I mean, just listen to this. This will change completely your outlook on what language learning actually does with your brain. There is a new study of November 25 that has actually, with really robust data, proven that if you learn languages, this will protect your brain from accelerated aging. So actually, speaking multiple languages makes your brain stay younger for longer. And I mean, all of you probably have heard that thing that so many people repeat. I've heard that from so many of my seasoned students. This thing of, I'm a bit too old now to learn languages, or you might hear it in the form of, you can still learn, you're still young, but at my age, it becomes really difficult. What else do I hear frequently? Yes, a frequent one I hear as well from seasoned language learners is like, my brain doesn't memorize that quickly anymore. And this study basically, and I'm so happy I came across it because, as you know, I'm a researcher, I'm a social psychologist. I always, when I hear kind of these social stereotypes that repeat themselves, I kind of ask, is this true? And I'm going to present today this study to you. Listen up and learn about it. It's going to change your outlook on language learning. To the channel. I'm Dr. Alex. I'm a social psychologist, and I bring to you the best knowledge from social psychology to make your language learning successful, to have you speak with unshakable confidence, and today a special one to actually learn about how language learning makes us protect our brains and makes us age slower. Now, let's dive into this. I will, of course, link in the original study with a link so you can read it up in the description. But of course, what I did is I analyzed the whole study for you so that you can have in this short video all the major takeaways. And I will also bring you at the end the social psychology of why these social stereotypes, this kind of I'm too old to learn, why this spreads so much throughout society and why it's so frequent, and how we then tend to kind of just believe it. So I will break that down for you as well. So bear with me. Now, the first one. This study is basically a study that was a longitudinal study from more than 80,000 participants over 27 countries. And it was published just now in November 25. And it had participants in the age from 51 to 90. So here we go. That's exactly that age where people tend to say, learning for me is not that easy anymore. And that's not true at all. So basically, the main kind of result of the study was that speaking multiple languages can slow down aging. It stimulates exactly that function of the brain. I'm going to go into depth into that actually normally decreases with aging. So yes, with aging we become slower, but multilingualism can stop that process, or can kind of slow that process up. So if you normally would age at a certain rate with your executive function of your brain, if you speak multiple languages, this study has proven now, slows that process down. Now, what did this study do? So I will present you the main findings and also how did they actually conduct the study. So this study is really serious stuff. It's not just one of those, sorry, I don't want to sound condescending, but it's not one of those studies where they just interviewed a bunch of people and they gave their subjective perceptions on how learning languages makes them feel young. No, this is actually data that, as I said, first of all, used longitudinal data. So over a long period of time, they observed the participants that I said. Then also they had this huge data set, so more than 80,000 participants. And they also included statistical validation. So, statistical validation in this context means they controlled for other factors where people usually might say in these type of studies, yeah, probably the participants had benefits due to social or economic status. Maybe they had benefits because of health, and all these factors that also play a role for premature or normal aging. They actually controlled for them, and they developed metrics that made a metric possible that isolated just for that factor of multilingualism. So they were able to compare monolingual people with multilingual people in that factor of being able to activate certain functions in the brain. So that kind of, I call it the executive function. It's basically that mental flexibility of switching your attention, of being able to pick up on things, of reacting to different stimuli. And so they had, so as I said, longitudinal, they had statistical validation, they also had cross-sectional data, and they included data from 27 countries. I mean, have a look. I will link it in. This is really serious stuff because this kind of data set they had is so robust that it withholds the main criticism, the usual criticism where people go in studies where they say, yeah, this is kind of like the data you kind of arranged for supporting your argument. That actually doesn't hold true because it's real statistical validation over a long period of time, cross-sectional, large data sets, and also several countries, and control for other factors like health, social, economic status, and so on and so forth. Now, so this is the method of the study. And here is the basic top line findings. So the first one, I mean, get this. I mean, when I read this, I was like, this is exactly what I'm experiencing, but I'm always really humble and shy to actually say when people go and expose to me these kind of things like too old, I kind of become shy and I don't want to kind of impose my point of view, if you know what I mean. But actually, this is how I feel. It actually confirms how I really feel. Um, so the first one is multilingual adults were half as likely to show accelerated aging. So that means if you speak several languages or if you speak just two languages, you have less likely accelerated aging. So in the age range from 51 to 90. Isn't that fabulous? This is just something that I absolutely can confirm. I feel, I mean, I'm 50 now. Okay, I wouldn't be included in that data set yet, but in a couple of months, yes. And I feel exactly like that. I feel the same. My brain kind of fires away the same like when I was 30. I feel that's my subjective kind of feeling that actually supports what they found in the study. And oh, by the way, as always, I'm very interested what you think about this. Drop a comment how this resonates with you. What is your personal experience speaking several languages? What do you feel? How does it actually make you feel young and make you stay young? Drop your comments. I'm so happy to hear your reactions to this. The second finding is language proficiency predicted delayed aging even after, and this is what I mentioned briefly before, even after controlling for health factors, socioeconomic factors, national factors, because it was 27 countries. So the benefits of slowing down aging of the brain due to learning languages is not due to lifestyle or privilege. This is the common stereotypes. People, I had that even personally once. I had an experience with a lady in one of my courses. She went, but look at you, you're still so young. She actually went condescending with me. She's like, you are still so young, you can still do it. Look at me, I'm 20 years older than you. I can't really. And also, I don't have the privilege like you. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't even react. I mean, please drop a comment if you have similar, if you had similar condescending remarks. That was really borderline. But I decided, for my life at least, to not let myself trigger anymore by these kind of comments, because of course learning language is due to all these daily habits of repeating these fun learning habits that I actually summarize in my method, in the Everyday Nano method. So yes, so these benefits are really not due to lifestyle or privilege. And then, and here we go now, here we now can explain what actually happens in your brain when you learn languages. And that is so, for me, it's kind of life-changing, this study. I will celebrate this study. So multilingualism stimulates and builds a cognitive reserve in your brain that actually normally with age would decline. So it's exactly this kind of thing at the center, this cognitive reserve that is upheld young and fresh, if you want, in my words, that would otherwise decline from the age of what they observed, this age range of 51 to 90. So what is this cognitive reserve that would normally decline? And they compare that obviously between multilingual and monolingual people. So this is the so-called working part of the memory, the executive function that helps you for functions or processes in everyday life, like attention switching, for example, social cognition as well. So how would you actually act and react quickly in social situations? How would you react in spontaneous conversation with people? Are you able to keep your eloquency as you did when you were 20, 30? Mental flexibility, switching again from one context to the other, having several kind of references for the same type of situation, all this stuff that keeps you, kind of firing away really quickly, if you know what I mean. I think we all have a personal association with that, how it makes us feel when we are young and fresh, you know what I mean, mentally. So, and these functions that I just described, so the working memory, the executive function, this attention switching, and being quick with different social cognitive situations, that usually declines with age. And multilingualism, or learning languages constantly, helps you to build a cognitive reserve that actually preserves that function. So it's like kind of keeping your brain fresh and flexible. So I guess this is now my personal interpretation of what I read in the study. So I guess this act of learning every time new social kind of references and thinking patterns for similar situations helps you stay flexible, helps you have this cognitive flexibility that normally would decline. Isn't that fabulous? Now, I also promised you to deconstruct, let's say, to deconstruct this kind of stereotype, I'm too old to learn. So I also want to deconstruct it together with a kind of invitation to you, dear viewer, to help us break that down or kind of fight that stereotype. So every time you hear a seasoned person saying that, like, I'm too old now to learn, or you can still do that, look at you, you're still so young, help us as a society, or do your contribution to tell the person that it's actually not true, that this is a received wisdom. And here's the social psychology behind it. What we do a lot in social contexts, in interaction with other people, is we internalize social stereotypes that we hear frequently. So if we frequently hear the same things, like from older people, we hear, oh, I'm getting so slow now, it's so difficult, I'm too old to learn. We tend to internalize that, and then we start to repeat that, because our main social function of learning happens through repetition, what we hear constantly, or imitation of what we hear constantly. So let's all break that cycle. That is my little appel to you today. Whenever you hear a person saying that, encourage her, encourage him to say, no, it's never too late. You can learn a language at the age of 60, at the age of 70. My proof is in my courses, there are many people who are over the age of 70, and yes, they can. What I always keep saying to them, it might not be the time, it might not be the book or the course, it might be the study method they use themselves in their everyday life. This is why I am so happy about the Everyday Nano method, because this helps you easily include learning a language in your daily routine, even if you have just 1 or 5 minutes per day. And those of you who watched this video as a first one on this channel, please check out my previous videos on the Everyday Nano method. I will of course do more, but this is something that helps you learn in a joyful, in a evolutionary, natural way, and this helps you to acquire a language rather than suffering through long grammar drills, if you know what I mean. So this study for me is really something that is a revolution in this kind of breaking down that stereotype of I'm too old to learn. Drop me a comment what you think about this. If you are interested in more, please click on the link for the original study, have a read of it, and give me your comment. Let's exchange on that study. I just think it's fabulous because it confirms what I feel in my personal experience, that language learning is just so much bringing to my life not only the benefits of having new ways of thinking, learning a new culture, entering in a new country, new cultural context, and also changing, becoming more open, changing my own personality, but also having these benefits of staying young. Isn't that fabulous? So drop me a comment, and as always, thank you so much for being with me today and sharing this time with me, celebrating this study. Have a nice day. Bye.